Hey guys, welcome back to Andy's Dinosaur Reviews, and we have something awesome to take a look at today. Something I've never reviewed on the channel before. We have a Zilla model, or Godzilla, depending on the way you look at it. So basically what we've got here is an incredible model sculpted by DopePope, who is probably one of the greatest sculptors alive, and he has gone ahead and created himself an awesome looking Zilla model. And I do have some Zilla figures in my collection, but I don't have any actual good models of Zilla, so I'm straight away beyond excited to have this. And I actually love the film. I love the Matthew Broderick Godzilla film, even though a lot of people say it's not Godzilla and all that fun stuff, which, I don't know how I consider it. I don't know if I really consider it Godzilla or I consider it, its own creature as Zilla. Either way, all I know is I love the movie, and I'm really excited to have a really high quality, very faithful to what we see on screen version of Zilla here from DopePope. Now, this is actually my third model, I think, that I now have in my collection from DopePope. I previously have reviewed a Yongari, which was amazing, then the last Dinosaur T-Rex, which was amazing, and now we have this Zilla, which looks equally as amazing. And I'm honestly almost a little intimidated when it comes to painting this one, because as we can see, it's clearly unpainted, but I don't know how that's going to go, because I'm very unsure of myself at times when it comes to my paintwork, and I've never tried painting a Zilla before, so fingers crossed it turns out pretty decent. But before we go and get it painted up, we're going to go ahead and jump straight to a closer look at it right now. So starting up here at the head sculpt of our Zilla, you can see straight away when it comes to screen accuracy, that is spot on, or you could see it before it went and lost focus. But you could see that is spot on. That looks fantastic. We've got the nostrils sculpted out here on the tip of the snout. The mouth is sculpted in an open position. It's not open super wide. You can see it's just open a little bit, large enough to see the tongue there on the inside of the mouth. You can also see the teeth and everything sculpted out as you move through the snout here, and take a look at the opposing side of the head. You can see that again looks really nice. The skin texture looks fantastic everywhere. We can see the eye in there. Very small eye on Zilla. He's sculpted out that very nicely as well. He's got the general structure of the head sculpt down perfect, I would say. And then you can also see kind of like some more armored sort of a skin textured here for the upper part of the head and leading down into the neck. You have kind of like scoots and stuff and ridges and everything as you move down the course of the head here of Zilla. As you lead back down here, you can see more nice looking skin texture, really nice looking scale detail running right here under the kind of armored sort of an area. And then as you lead down, you can see again quite a bit of difference here to the appearance of the skin texture compared to what we see pretty much everywhere else. And then as you lead down, you have kind of like some hanging sort of saggy skin here in the throat, more like some ridges here running along the lower part of the throat leading off. And as we lead down the course of the body, you continue to see those kind of ridges and everything up there on the top. Look at how good they look when it comes to the fine detail. Hopefully my camera's picking it up good enough to show you how impressive they look here in person, because they look honestly mind-blowing in hand. But I think they'll look probably a little bit better. You'll be able to see them a little bit better when we actually get some paint application on them. But even unpainted, that is phenomenal. As you move down here, you continue to again see kind of like those weird sort of scoots that you see all over Zilla, and you can see more of them as you lead down the course of the arm. You have more of that there on the front of the arm, all over the muscle definition leading down. You can see them leading down the course of the arm here as we lead into the hand. The hand looks really good as well. We've got some nicely sculpted nails, nicely sculpted fingers as well. And we can clearly see this hand is kind of held down a little bit, whereas the opposing hand is held up in the air a little bit. So definitely very different as far as the poses of the arm, depending on the side you look at. As you lead back here a little bit further, you again see amazing looking skin texture everywhere. Really cannot wait to get some paint on this. We've got more of those ridges here moving along the back of Zilla. All the way back here into the hip region, you have kind of like some really big sort of osteoderm-like scales showing up here and there. As you lead down the course of that really slender, weird-looking leg that Zilla has, you can see the muscle definition in the thigh looks really good. The skin texture also looks great. We've got the knee here on the front of the leg, calf muscle as you move down, more of those kind of scoots leading down the side of the calf, also down the front of the shin. and then you lead down into that foot sculpt. You've got some really nice looking scoots running down the front of the foot, down the toes, into the nails, and even the nails themselves have an extremely highly detailed appearance to them. I don't know if, there we go, we can kind of get a good angle there, where you can kind of see like the cracks and crevices in the nails themselves, which looks super, super nice. And then as you lead back up here again into the tail of Zilla, you have more fantastic detailing as you lead out. More of those scoots, more of those, of course, ridges and stuff moving along the back of our Zilla. As you lead out the length of the tail, there are just tons of them everywhere. You can see just completely littered with those ridges. We also have a really nice curvature here to the tail as you lead out. The pose of this is really nice, honestly, really quite dynamic. I really love the pose of this Zilla. And if we come over here to the opposing side, you can see primarily the head's pretty straightforward with a slight tilt to its left, but you can see again what the detailing and everything looks like here on the side of the head leading down into the neck, pretty similar to what we had just seen on the initial side. But as we lead down into the arm, you can definitely see the arms in a much more different position compared to what we saw on the initial side. It's held up a lot more. You can see the structure, the pose, everything looks very different on this arm compared to what we had just seen on the initial side. And we do, of course, have the same aspects at the same time because we have like the muscle definition, the same style of skin texture, the same appearance as far as that scoot-like appearance running down. The fingers look great again on this side, very nice, sharp-looking, like genuinely sharp-looking nails. And then as we lead back here into the stomach, you can see the stomach a bit better over here because on the opposing side, you can see both the limbs are kind of held together, whereas over here they're held a little further apart, giving us a much better view of what the skin texture and everything looks like here on the side of the stomach of our Zilla. As you lead down the leg, you can see the leg is trailing on this side, but it's picking up off of the ground because you can see the toes are currently leaving the ground. Nice bend in the foot. All the same style of detailing and everything you saw on the first side that we have over here again with the muscle definition, the skin texture. Everything looks absolutely incredible as you move down the course of that leg. And then as you lead up, you again have that really nice looking tail sculpt, pretty similar to, of course, what we had just seen on the other side, but bending the opposite way now, bending away from us rather than bending toward us. And then you can look here at the underside, you can see it's just as highly detailed as it is everywhere else. The skin texture is incredibly nice looking on this model. You can see lots of skin wrinkles and skin movement here of the underside because it has a slight tilt to the body, and the one leg, leading forward is really kind of mushing the skin right there. Very nice, fine detail, nice attention to detail as you lead through. So that is absolutely fantastic. When it comes to a Zilla, it really doesn't get any better than that. I cannot wait to get some paint on this, but yet I am, again, very intimidated when it comes to painting it, but I'm really excited to see what it looks like with paint on it. And then here we have a base. That's something we haven't had prior when it comes to a DopePope model so far, for me anyway. I'm sure he's had others, but so far from the ones that I own, I haven't had any with a base yet, so it's pretty cool to have a base with this one. You can see it's in a nice round appearance, and you can also see that we have a nice kind of an earthy texture here to the base as we look here. We also have actually the DopePope logo over here, which is pretty darn cool to have on there. There's also a peg because this is applied with a peg. You slide the peg into the bottom of the foot of your Zilla. And we also have some rocks and stuff here showing up here and there. Really nice looking, really highly detailed, just like our Zilla. The base looks just as impressive, I would say, when it comes to how highly detailed it is. So let's go ahead. We're going to go, even though I'm, again, like I said, pretty intimidated, we're going to go ahead and get some paint on this, and we'll come right back and check out and see if I did a decent job on it or not. And here is my painted version of Zilla. Now, hopefully it turned out okay, because again, I am absolutely no professional when it comes to Zilla, but specifically Zilla's paint scheme. And it's a little bit tough, honestly, when it comes to like reference material to really figure it out. In fact, I actually had to reach out to DopePope to sort of get like an idea as far as what the coloration exactly is, because there's so much kind of difference between the different reference material. It's really hard to kind of figure it out. So again, with consulting with DopePope and looking at the Spiral Studios version, I pretty much came up with the paint scheme as best I could, and as close to, again, screen accurate as I could possibly get it. So hopefully it looks good, and hopefully it turned out looking like Zilla does in the movie. Again, I've seen the movie tons of times, but you never really have an exact perfect opportunity to really study the coloration and paint scheme and color scheme, I should say, of Zilla in the movie. So it's a little hard to really get, again, that perfect idea of all the coloration and everything. And I feel like, again, it turned out pretty nicely. I'm actually really quite happy with it as a whole, and definitely shows off how impressive the actual sculpt is from DopePope. Again, he totally knocked this out of the park as far as the appearance of Zilla goes, especially after, again, over the last few days having the chance to really kind of examine Zilla from different reference material and stuff and really get a good idea of what Zilla looks like. You can really get a good feel for how incredibly accurate the model here is from DopePope. He absolutely killed it when it comes to, again, what Zilla looks like in the film, and I'm beyond excited to actually have this because it's definitely my first really good high quality version of a Zilla model. I do have some of the toys and everything, but nothing even comes close to the impressive quality of this Zilla from DopePope. And again, the one thing that was really confusing the most for me would be the color of the spines on the back. Like, I was really confused as to whether it was purple. I remember seeing like videos and images or something of it somewhere where it was kind of like a metallic purple, but then a lot of images and stuff that I see has like a bluish tone, and some look like it was just a straight up black. So I went with the black and then kind of like some hints of blues and stuff up there. Not even really hints of blues, there's definitely a good bit of blues, and I felt like that was probably the best option. But you guys will definitely have to let me know in the comments what you think of my paint job, and if you think it turned out, fairly decent and fairly similar to what Zilla actually looks like in the film, because again, I'm pretty happy with the way it turned out. I think it actually looks pretty good, and from what I've noticed, I think it looks definitely close enough to Zilla as a whole. But like I said, I'm definitely no professional when it comes to the paint scheme of Zilla. And then here is the base now painted up, and the base, again, you can see looks amazing once you get some paint work on it. Super highly detailed, and I actually went and painted the DopePope logo out on it because I really wanted that to stand out, to again iron out the fact that this is a DopePope model, and really shine through that fact that he's incredible, honestly, when it comes to the sculpting and detailing of his models. You can see the logo is actually present on the side of the base as well. But again, an absolutely extraordinarily beautiful base to go with an absolutely incredible Zilla. And again, just like I had mentioned earlier in the review, there's a peg here that you just kind of slide into the foot of your Zilla. Just make sure it's down there nice and solid, and then your Zilla is ready to go. However, once I'm done the review, now that I don't need to kind of remove him from the base, I'm going to absolutely glue the model onto the base, because I always just feel so much more comfortable when they're glued on. I just feel like it's a better idea to keep them glued on. But as far as the size goes on your Zilla, for a length from the snout to the tip of the tail, I'd say right around 12 inches or around 30, maybe 30.5 centimeters. The tail's curved away, so it's a little hard to get an exact measurement, but that's kind of like a rough measurement of where it is. And then for a height, right around 7 inches or about 18 centimeters. So even though it's not absolutely huge, it is easily the most impressive Zilla model I've ever seen when it comes to the sculpt and everything. So it's super cool to have one that's so reasonably sized and, again, so impressively detailed. But for a size comparison, there is Mr. Papo T-Rex, the Attack Pack Colovosaurus, and Robert Muldoon from the Mattel Jurassic World toy line next to our DopePope Zilla model. And you can get a pretty good idea, I think, of the size here next to these models in comparison. Definitely decent size. It really does have some good size to it, but it has some good size without being too large. But for another comparison, we'll of course bring in our randoms that we usually use, as we have the Mattel Velociraptor and Dilophosaurus here next to Zilla to help give you, again, a pretty good idea of a size. Then for, again, more randoms, we've got the Schleich Diabloceratops, the Safari Ltd Utyrannus, and Collectate Deluxe Dimetrodon here next to our Zilla. I don't really have very many, if any, really. I mean, I've got like some toys of Zilla somewhere, but I don't know where I even have those currently. So I don't really have a whole lot of, stuff to compare it with, because I'm not really filled with Zilla models. Even though I love the movie, it's, when you have so much stuff that you already collect, I haven't really gotten full-blown into collecting Zilla stuff yet. Who knows when that'll start to happen and then overtake my life, but so far I don't have all that many Zillas. But we can compare next to some more of the DopePope models. As here we have a size comparison next to the last Dinosaur, which is also sculpted by DopePope, again showing off, just how impressive of a sculptor he is when it comes to two very different style. You got a kaiju and you've got a dinosaur, very different style models, but equally as impressive, I would say, and also equally as impressive in the screen accuracy department. But for another comparison, here is an SH Monster Arts Godzilla vs. Kong next to the DopePope Zilla model, again, to help give you an idea of his size. I know this is definitely a really popular model, my very first SH Monster Arts model to enter my collection, so also one that I felt like would be a pretty good comparison piece next to our Zilla. And then for one final comparison, if you are a Godzilla collector, you might have some of the recent Playmates Godzilla vs. Kong line of figures, and even though it's still in the box, you can get a pretty good idea of what one of those Godzilla figures look like here next to our Zilla, again, as far as the size goes, hopefully to help give you one last idea of a size of our Zilla. So this brand new DopePope Zilla is absolutely phenomenal, and actually having this in my collection, I feel like I don't even need to ever buy another Zilla model like this because it's just so perfect. It's so high quality, so impressive when it comes to the sculpt and the fine detail. Like, it is honestly mind-blowing how good of a job DopePope does continuously on everything he creates. I know he's been doing this for a very long time, and honestly it shows because he is about as great of a sculptor when it comes to this stuff as you're ever going to find. And again, Zilla is phenomenal here. There's so much really nice, really vibrant, fine detail throughout, and again, the absolute most screen-accurate appearance to a Zilla that I've probably ever seen. It just looks so picture-perfect as far as the sculpt goes, and the detail is honestly phenomenal as you move through. Again, the skin texture looks great. There's so much variation as far as the appearance to the skin texture as you move through, and so much fine detail on the model. Even when you look into like the nails of the toes and the fingers, or even up onto the spines on the back of the Zilla, again, there's so much incredible fine detail to those areas. It is really quite the marvel to look at. Like, I try not to use this word too often, but this is a masterpiece. It really is. And of course, you can purchase this from DopePope right now and acquire yourself this amazing Zilla model. The only thing is, it's an unpainted model. If you buy one, you would have to paint it yourself or send it to somebody to paint, which there's plenty of people out there that will do that for you. So again, if you are in the market for a Zilla model and you're looking for probably one of the best you'll ever see, this is it right here. Definitely the Zilla model worth picking up if you ask me. It was actually a lot of fun to paint because of how good the sculpt is, so it was very easy to paint and very easy to make look good. So if my paint job does look good, I'm going to give most of the credit to DopePope's incredible sculpt as to why it looks so good. So again, if you are interested in picking this up, I will include a link in the description to where you can contact DopePope on Instagram, or of course you can contact me and I can contact him for you to help you place an order for this incredible model. I believe it retails for about $150 plus shipping, so a really good price as well for something this amazing. And of course, if you haven't already, make sure you pre-order yourself the Gorgo that is coming out from Titanic Creations, which was actually also sculpted out by and is a collaboration with DopePope, who again is the sculptor for this incredible Zilla, and it's going to be an amazing super articulated Gorgo. Definitely worth picking up, that's for sure. A dream collectible is that as well. So make sure you check the link in the description again to the contacts of DopePope, the Instagram account, as well as where you can go to pre-order yourself that amazing Titanic Creations Gorgo. And make sure you again grab yourself your very own Zilla, and like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you in the next review. Thanks for watching.